It's forward thinking and scalable. You don't want to get trapped with a product line that, doesn't allow you to kind of grow and change. And also, you don't want to get stuck with product lines that may have exclusivity or don't want you bringing other brands in because those gaps, right? You want to fill the gaps. So as new product lines come out and new ingredients are introduced to the market, you want to be with a company that's innovative and always kind of leading the research. Even companies, that provide training to your staff can help your staff move those products and get them very excited about the incentives.
You have to do your own informed decision-making process. So when you're trying to evaluate devices for your practice, you want to make sure, number one, is there a need for that service, right? So that really falls into, does that align with your patient's demographic? So what are you trying to serve? What service, treatment, product, what does it treat? And how does that fit your patient population? Really understanding that first and foremost is you have to do your own due diligence.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Business of Aesthetics Annual Expert Panel Webinar. This empowering discussion will help you navigate challenges, leverage opportunities, and build a thriving career in aesthetics. Thank you for joining us and our panel of renowned industry leaders as they share actionable strategies, best practices, and valuable insights to tackle the unique leadership challenges faced by aesthetic professionals today. Welcome to our panelists for this webinar, Kara McClanahan and Anita Lang. It is awesome to have you guys with us. Thank you for taking the time and willingness to share all your gold.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Just a second. I'm just having trouble sharing my, oh, there we go. If for some reason it decided to freeze there. There we go. So apologize for that. So today with our Business of Aesthetics Expert Panel Webinar, we're going to be discussing advanced devices in aesthetics, maximizing ROI, return on investment, on cutting edge equipment. This is a live event, so please engage with your peers, ask questions, and we are confident you will leave equipped with actionable strategies that you're able to implement immediately. So before we dive in, let me ask you this. When potential patients in your area search for treatments you offer, does your practice actually show up, or are they finding your competitors instead? This is a major challenge for many aesthetic practice owners. You might be offering amazing services, but if you're not visible online, you're missing out on a steady stream of new patients. The good news, and there is good news, there's a fix. With the right digital marketing strategy, covering local SEO, targeted ads, and funnel-based content marketing, you can not only attract more inquiries, but convert them into actual patients walking through your doors. Now, here's the best part, and I do mean the best part. If you stick around till the end, we have something very special for you that can help take your practice's online presence to the next level. I guarantee it's worth hanging in for and hearing more about, but I will talk about it a little more later. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to go and introduce our panelists and myself. I'll lead off with myself. My name is Michael Walker. I am your host for tonight. As a leadership coach, professional mediator, facilitator, I'm passionate about helping set leaders and their teams up for success that matters, helping them lead themselves well so they can lead others well, and so that they can go home at night and feel good about how they handled themselves and others. And with a focus on communication, conflict, and change, my team and I at Capstone Coaching help unlock and engage the full potential of an organization and its people. Our first panelist tonight is Kara McClanahan. Kara, with over 28 years of experience in the aesthetics industry, Kara is the founder of Aesthetics Practice Partners and a board-certified medical practice executive. Her career spans executive roles across neurology, dermatology, and plastic surgery, including Vice President of Operations for a national healthcare company with 57 practices. A certified wellness and professional coach, Kara leverages her unique background from esthetician to strategic consultant to help physician owners and medical practices achieve breakthrough results in the competitive aesthetics marketplace. Our second panelist for tonight is Anita Lane. Anita is the owner and CEO of Elite Brand Consulting, LLC, a full-service digital marketing agency and exclusive product line brokerage. With over 20 years of experience, she helps businesses improve visibility, streamline operations, and boost revenue. Her EBC business app offers an AI-powered executive dashboard that centralizes marketing tools from SEO and social media to ads and reputation management. As a certified Nutrametrics consultant, Anita partners with health professionals to integrate wellness programs and create ancillary revenue. She's also an authorized distributor of award-winning beauty and wellness products, including Motives Custom Blend Foundations, and providing science-backed retail opportunities for service-based businesses. So I think we have a really great panel, and I think you'll see from the points we have that we're going to easily be able to hit on these and really dig into them. And we have some great questions lined up for the panelists for tonight. But I do want to encourage you right now that as the chat is open and live, so if you, as we're hearing from the panelists, if you have a question, please throw it out, put it in the chat, and I will make sure that we capture that question and get it to one of the panelists in real time to be answered. If for some reason, if it came in late and we're out of time or something, what I want you to know is that any question you put in there, then Whitney, our podcast manager, will actually grab the question, we'll go back to the panelists, get us an answer, and get an answer to you. So nothing falls through the cracks, nothing hits the floor. We guarantee we'll make sure that all your questions get answered. Also feel free to put comments in there, something you're hearing, something that's catching your attention, aha moment, or even a thumbs up or a big heart. So having said that, let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here. There we go. And we're going to start off actually with Kara. And the first question I have for you, Kara, is how can a practice determine whether a device will truly align with its patient demographics and its long-term business goals? Big question, but pretty much the fundamental one when it comes to acquisitions.
Absolutely. So, the first and foremost thing I always say is never make a device purchase based on what someone else tells you should have, right? You have to do your own informed decision making process. So, when you're trying to evaluate devices for your practice, you want to make sure number one, is there a need for that service, right? So, that really falls into, does that align with your patient's demographic? So, what are you trying to serve? What service, treatment, product, what does it treat, and how does that fit your patient population? Really understanding that first and foremost is you have to do your own due diligence. You have to make sure that, again, I was in device manufacturer sales for many, many years. And remember, us salespeople are really good at telling you what we want you to hear and we want you to articulate even to your patients through the devices that we sell. But really making sure that you're making informed decisions means that you have to stay on top of what is the science, what does it treat, how is it backed, does it fill a gap within your practice? Do your own market research first is really, really important. And then dive into, does that fit what I'm looking for? So we know energy-based devices fit a lot of different needs in our practice. And so is it a skin tightening device? Is it a body contouring device? Is it a pelvic or core tightening device? What is it that we're trying to treat? And also, again, where's the gap in our practice? Because I think that that's where patients or practices make big mistakes when bringing on medical devices is we attend a conference, we see something online, it's that shiny new penny effect, right? And then our favorite rep shows up with Starbucks and cookies and all the things and tells us exactly what we want to hear. I know I brought you cookies before. And really it's identifying what you need in your practice. So does 60% of your patient population need that service? Would 70% benefit? Or are you bringing on a $200,000 device to treat 20% of your patient population? It's that due diligence that you really, really need to investigate within your practice before you decide if you're going to bring that rep in to have a conversation. So, number one, does it fill a gap in the practice? Do you have a service treatment need that that product or treatment is going to fill? And how many of your patients are actually going to benefit from that? A lot of the time, we're sold on it will bring patients with it. If you have this device and you market, all of a sudden the floodgates are going to open and new patients are going to run through the doors. So, while that could be true with the right marketing, I don't want to discredit some opportunity, but I think that you have to have the patient base within the practice already that is going to sustain the need for that treatment before relying bringing on an expensive device and hoping that it's going to bring new patients in your door.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I think you're saying, that idea of filling a gap. So question for you, if you're coming in the door and I'm looking at this new piece of equipment, is it reasonable to ask a rep to say, where is this now being used? And what kind of
Mhm.
what gaps is it filling for other people? And what do the numbers look like as it relates to that? Is that something that is shareable?
I think number one and number two are very good questions, and you should always ask. So you should always know where the device is. And I don't even think from just a competitive landscape perspective, but also, a lot of people want to be the first adopters, or maybe they want to buy the device that everyone has just to stay competitive. There's a question about that, but knowing where the device in your market is important. And number two is what kind of numbers is it driving? Let's be honest, the rep is going to tell you what they think you want to hear. So you typically can go to physician locator sites, ask for practice referrals, find other people that actually have that device and treatment. We are in a very collaborative community in aesthetics nowadays. It's not the same as it used to be 5 to 10 years ago. And people are willing to share their experiences, ask what type of support they also get as well. So I think that you can ask those questions, but just be very subjective with the type of answer that you get. If you ask a salesperson certain questions, they're going to give you a salesperson answer. Their job is to sell you that device.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For me, when I'm offered something, I always have a primary set of two questions I ask myself. What's at risk if I buy this, if I acquire it?
Hmm.
What are the financial side of it, the training and all the things that go with it. And then, but the other question equally, if not more important, is what's at risk if I don't do
Right?
this? And really
And
knowing
that's the gap question. That's the gap.
exactly.
Is there a service gap in my practice where I don't have something to fill the need? Then you are missing opportunity if you don't have a product treatment or service to serve those patients.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you. It's like a SWOT analysis is all about finding the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. But if you distill that down to just to a gap in a product, then basically reverse engineer from that gap to, well, this piece of equipment, is that going to actually fill it, or and is it the only choice, and or is there something better? So yeah, thank you.
Right?
Here, we're going to dig more into this. Obviously, I can see where this is going to go. So, Anita, I have a question for you. And the question I have is, how can practices bundle treatments with supportive products to increase ROI on new aesthetic devices? Now, I'm just because I'm a common denominator kind of guy, just so when we talk about ROI, we're talking about return on investment is what that means, and that what it's generating in terms of return to whatever you've paid for it and whatever it's bringing back to you. So I want to put that in because every once in a while there's somebody that doesn't know that, and I know most of us do, but just to be clear. So how can practices bundle treatments with supportive products to increase ROI on new aesthetic devices?
Hey, great. Obviously, that's a great question. You want to be selecting products that are going to work from the inside out to support the functional things that are happening to the body. So, for instance, we try to identify, what's being done. For instance, like a device like the Luminous M22. Obviously, that's focusing on things like pigmentation, redness, skin tone, and texture. So the product categories for that we're going to be looking at are capillary support, vascular and cellular health, inflammation control, even things like immune system, cell energy and repair. So we want to build a bundle that has things like curcumin, vitamin D3 with the K2 for the capillary support, a high-powered antioxidant or an anti-inflammatory. So you want to always make sure that you're considering what results. So even on a grander scale, going up at like 30,000 feet, I like to focus on three things to keep in the front of my mind. You wanted obviously results, you want to make revenue, and you want to continue to build relationships. So that like those three R's I feel are really vital when you're selecting product lines to enhance. So you want to look for a system that isn't just products. You know, a company just throws the products out. You want to work with a supplier that actually has like a turnkey system. It's been vetted, it's been tested and refined to align with aesthetic procedures. You also want to not settle for, subpar ingredients. Obviously, that's the results piece. Things like patented delivery systems that no one else has. Think obviously clinical trials. You want to review those, due diligence. Are they getting results and in what formulations, right? So many supplements, you'll hear studies, but there was a specific formulation and a specific dosage and a specific patented ingredient that produce those results for that supplement. So you want to work with a line that's actually using those proven things. You don't want a copycat of the study. You want what was actually used in this study. I like to structure with those bundles for the option of like a small, a medium, or a large package, right? So your small package would be the essentials that are for general recovery support. Your medium would add in another product maybe to add targeted support based on the treatment type. And then those patients who are like, no, I want max, you can optimize a complete wellness package for them to, really extend their results and address other systemic health things that are happening with them. And then finally, the revenue piece, all of those things, develop that relationship, that loyalty. But the revenue piece is simple things, operational pluses, things like companies that offer drop shipping. So you're not, bound up with tons of inventory on your shelf. You want the clients to be able to reorder online, maybe even incentivize reorders with auto ship features, percent off for repetitive orders. And, you don't want to have things, shrinkage on your shelf. You don't want to be tying up capital. You already invested so much capital in the machines. You really don't need systems. The other thing I like to do is build the cost of the first 30 days supplies into the cost of the treatment. So, you're ensuring that the client is going to get that support, the nutritional or the topical, just like, surgical procedures, medical. In the aesthetic world, we want to support those surgical or mechanical procedures with both oral and topical solutions that maintain and extend results. So, um, that's basically our goal when we're bundling, is those things.
Thank you, Anita. And I love the way you're kind of breaking that down into the packages because or the different components. So I think there must be just so many options available. I mean, I'm not an expert in your field, but from been on these calls and listening, I've learned an awful lot about a lot of equipment and a lot of treatments. But it just seems like every time I'm on a different webinar podcast, there's something new that's being talked about. And AI seems to be also fueling that as well. When
For
you're
sure.
when you think about those three packages, how would you recommend somebody set that up? What would that look like because I could just hear a viewer saying, yeah, I love that idea. How do you do that?
Yeah, well, actually, we do kind of have like a cheat sheet kind of thing that we develop for the client. When I work with a client med spa, we kind of analyze similar to what Kara was pointing out. You want to know, well, like what's 80% of your population? What quote unquote diagnoses are we trying to treat here, right? So you want to definitely, for instance, if you were going to do a small, medium, or large for maybe like the Morpheus 8, right? So the Morpheus is doing that deep skin remodeling, the firming, the texture. We want collagen production. So the initial, you might tell the person, listen, I want you to take this oral collagen supplement as well while you're recovering, and extending that. You should be taking oral collagen. Um, Maybe they want to add in other things like topical peptides, or EGF for that barrier and renewal once the healing is set up. And then you can add in a full NAD supplement for that continued cellular renewal. You can add in additional antioxidants. Omegas are phenomenal. There's often a lot of other things happening. These clients are also, wellness patients, right? So they're having these procedures and they're also spending, other consumer dollars in the wellness industry at other places. You want to capture as much share of customer. If you are the wellness expert in your spa, you're branding yourself as a wellness hub, you really don't, you want to capture as many dollars, that share of customer, for the client. So can enhance not just the procedure that they're investing in right now with the device, but that long-term share of customer is going to continue to pay for that device even if it has no relation to it. It's more of a widespread expansion. Things like cardiovascular health, metabolic health. We're doing a lot of natural supplementation with things like creatine and whey protein powders, that 30 grams of protein with some creatine and branched chain amino acids to help people with the muscle wasting from the GLP-1s that they're getting now. So those kind of opportunities to expand the share of customer and really bring more value to them and become that wellness expert to them is something that really can drive additional revenue and extend those treatment results for the patient as well.
Thank you, Anita. So I kind of hear from that is that the equipment is a catalyst for greater treatments and processes and introduction of different elements. But again, to the idea that they line up. And the next question I'm going to ask, thank you, Anita, is really for care is, how should practices structure their pricing and packaging for high-tech treatments to boost profitability without alienating cost-conscious clients? I mean, I kind of read between the lines, and I think, if I sell budget cars, getting equipment to deliver Mercedes is probably not going to be great. I'm just not in the right market. I'm missing my market. So I think, again, it's about defining the equipment and these treatments as it relates to the client and to what we've been talking about, your target demographic. But how should they practice structure their pricing and packaging?
Yeah, I want to throw in two comments to piggyback on what Anita said and expand on that before I jump into that. There's actually a stat out there that patients are greater than 60% more inclined to be compliant with their treatment plan and or continue their treatment products when they've experienced them as part of a treatment, which means simple math. If you
Absolutely.
bundle in products with your treatments, you have a 60% higher chance of that patient coming back for additional treatments and additional products. Whether we like to admit it or not, folks, 50% or less of a treatment outcome is a derived result from an energy-based device and or almost any treatment that you can do in the office. So while we love to think we have magic hands and us delivering energy to the skin is going to be transformational for our clients, 50% of their outcome depends on what happens when they leave our treatment room. And
Yeah.
where we are in today's day and age, let's be honest, we are depleting our bodies of all kinds of things. So when Nina was talking about supplementation as well as topical, those are the things that our body needs for cellular regeneration to make these energy-based devices work. And Morpheus 8 does not fix our skin with one treatment. It is a culmination, it's the catalyst to create our body's own reparative response to regenerate itself. So you have to feed the skin from the inside and out. And so, number one, bundling products and treatments and services into our energy-based devices is not an added value. It's part of the actual treatment. We're
Yeah.
creating, again, energy creates intentional damage that triggers our body to repair itself. Our body doesn't repair itself if we don't feed it properly. And so again, when we look at it that way, I'm going to go back and now answer your question of how do we do that without eating up too much profit margin and just including it in the cost, or just adding it on top of and eliminating our budget conscious customers. So, number one, you're never going to hear from me that you should be eating into your profit margin and or catering to budget conscious customers. There's a difference between budget conscious and being let's just use the word cheap. If we're out there looking for the lowest price
Yes.
treatment, we cannot expect the best outcome. So our customers that are out there searching for the lowest price treatment, let's be honest, they're not expecting the best treatment outcome. Our patients that want the best treatment outcome understand that it's an investment. So I love my clients to be at a 60 to 70% profit margin on all of their treatment costs. So when we take a look at that 60 to 70% profit margin, we have to take into account the cost of the treatment to decide where we need to price it. But there are different ways to include products. So number one, I don't think that like it's great to include full size products, especially if that's what they need. But you don't necessarily need to do that. So lean in on things like sample size products, custom size products. Also, lean into the support from your reps because if they know that you're including their products into your product bundles, you can do things like bulk price purchasing,
Yeah.
different ways to drive down your actual cost so that that profit margin doesn't get eaten up. So I think there's that, as well as leverage special pricing for membership programs. There is a different way to really include those in there. But I think that if you want them to have the best outcome, you should automatically include the cost of those products that you know are going to make a difference into your treatment cost. So then you just reverse engineer your profit margin. And sometimes on that first initial investment, we can be a little bit flexible with that profit margin because if I know that that patient is more likely to come back for additional treatments, products, and services, I'm okay with now having maybe a 50% profit margin for that one time treatment, knowing that patient's going to come back. So it's all about I always say, is the juice worth the squeeze? Am I going to be okay with taking a little bit less of a profit margin, knowing that I'm investing it back in the retentive patient and building that trust with that patient because they're going to love their outcome and they're more likely to come back. So I think, again, building things in, being cognizant of your profit margins, and making it part of your spiel, make it part of your conversation with your patients. I get asked all the time when I include products in my treatment packages. Occasionally, I get a patient that says, well, is it $100 less if I don't get the products? And the answer is no. I want you to have the products. That's why it's part of my package, as well as your positioning with your patients. This might be slightly higher than the med spa down the street that's selling it for $2.99. But let me tell you why. We give you your pre and post care treatment. We follow you through all of your appointments. We want to make sure you're going to get the best results, and that's worth the cost. What is your skin worth to you?
Yes.
Amen, Kara. Yes.
Am I speaking your language, Anita?
Oh my goodness, my heart's fluttering. Yes, all of that. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Well, going back to the cheap customer, like and the aesthetics industry, even though there's people out there in your industry that are trying to make it a commodity-driven business by just mail order volume products and just kind of using price as the driver, with nothing else other than a warehouse and a truck, so to speak, and a website. But in my mind, it's all you guys. It's what you just shared, Kara. You're a relationship-based business. And in that relationship, the customer begins to trust you in a way that they will continue to come back. But even more, if not equally, but probably more importantly, they also want to have their friends come back with them. And we have this beautiful lifestyle, this journey. And we're talking about numbers of the other night on just how much, what's really available per customer if we really are looking at the opportunities. But if we don't have a relationship with them, it's always going to be price driven, then we're always going to be chasing price. But it's like Dell Dell Computers sells computers. Do you want to buy one? Where Apple sells a whole new lifestyle and change in how to look at life and how we do community. Oh, and by the way, we sell iPads and iPhones and computers. And I just see you guys, I see this industry so much like that. And it's just people just want to trust you. Who wouldn't want? It's a pretty high trust thing. You're putting a needle in my face. That's kind of in the very
Well, yeah,
simplest,
I was going to say that.
format.
Super intimate.
Yeah. So, Anita, thank you, Kara. That was awesome. And
Yeah.
it's a good thing Kara doesn't get excited about stuff, though. Eh? Have you noticed that? It's just, I noticed that in the podcast. So, Anita, so we were talking a bit about ancillary retail products, extending treatment results and driving additional revenues. Can you unpack that a little further for us?
Sure. So, the compensation plan for the retail profit of the product lines, there's a wide variety. They run the gamut, these companies that you can partner with to bring product lines into your spa. They all pay different. They all, compensate you differently, have different volume discounts and all different ways that you can, kind of generate revenue with the product line. Personally, I like to look for, and the product line that I work with, we pay our spas twice. Once when they put the product on the shelf and include it, with the package and hand it out to the customer. But we also pay them retail profit on top of that when they turn the product around and sell it for retail. So you're going to be getting, I think it's really vital to choose a product line, again, not just for the results. They've got innovative delivery system. They've got innovative and proven data-driven product results, but they're also able to help you build a relationship and with your team even. So there can be things like profit sharing, things that you're incentivizing your staff to move product as well. Similar to the old school hair salon, there's a separate amount of commissions that your technicians are going to be making for movement of product line in addition to completing the service. So you're bringing that in as well. So with the Nutrimetrics line that I work with, again, we're paying our member spas, our partner spas, to put the item on the shelf with about a 60 to 80% point system back in that adds up to commissions, in addition to the retail profit that they get for selling the product at retail. But we also have a compensation plan that allows them to customize how they want to do the profit sharing with their staff. And it even allows them to keep it as a separate earnings vehicle for themselves should they want to exit or retire or something like that. So it's forward thinking and scalable. You don't want to get trapped with a product line that doesn't allow you to kind of grow and change. And also, you don't want to get stuck with product lines that may have exclusivity or don't want you bringing other brands in, because like Kara was talking about in the beginning, those gaps, right? You want to fill the gaps. So as new product lines come out and new ingredients are introduced to the market, you want to be with a company that's innovative and always kind of leading the research. Even companies, that provide training to your staff can help your staff move those products and get them very excited about the incentives. The company I work with, again, Nutrimetrics, we actually offer continuing medical education for our licensed healthcare providers. So it enables the provider to kind of, the healthcare providers or the spa manager owner to tap into other things to help them stay compliant, and to serve and to be, a great place to work for their team. So all of those things continue to drive revenue from picking the product line. Your staff is just absolutely vital. They're doing sales, and being cognizant. Sometimes maybe they haven't been trained in sales. Bring in a line that's going to train your staff to produce that revenue. So
Yeah, thank you, Anita. I just want to pause here just for our viewers and listeners. You're getting a lot of information here. an awful lot. And it's great stuff. But I just want to encourage you. You're hearing things that are important, and you're probably something's catching your ear and say, hey, that's something. I just encourage you to sort of think through um, a soundbite, something you're hearing from Anita Care that, hey, that I want to look into that and capture that with the idea and the mindset that when you get off of this webinar, as soon as you can, that you're going to be intentional acting on that, just doing something to move it forward. And whether that's reaching out to Kara or to Anita, who are experts in the fields, as you can tell, and what you're hearing. But the one thing that we know is that we can't be experts in everything. And these two ladies are experts in their field. And just like you need a great lawyer and a great accountant, a great marketing support piece, you need a great, I don't really, I see Kara and Anita much less, a consultant is more about information movement, but I see them more about as coaches to really help you and your business be the best version of what you want it to be, and then bringing all the pieces together. So just try and capture some things. Don't, because a lot of times we just capture too much and then we don't know where to, then we just walk away and I'll get back to it next week and we do nothing. So don't get paralyzed by that. Make a couple of little notes, circle it, put an asterisk on it, and then you'll be able to reach back out to these coaches. So having said that, and I just want to kind of build on, we just started talking about, Anita, you said, sometimes they don't know how, you don't have the sales training. And remember, I've always been a great salesperson, or I thought I was, until a friend that reached out and asked me if I could help him sell cars for him for a bit. And I said, sure, I could do that. I very quickly learned that I didn't know how to ask for the sale. I'd never been trained on it. I just did it by the seat of my pants, and that can get you somewhere, but it's going to leave a lot of sales not where they shouldn't be. So, Kara, the question I have for you is, you've worked closely with both clinical and business teams. What's your approach to training staff so they know how to use and sell the advice to patients?
Yeah. So I think that the key is continuing education. So education doesn't stop with our staff, and I think that that's a big misstep that I see a lot of the practices that I work with do. When we buy a new device or we bring a new skincare line on, we give them one training. Oftentimes when it's an energy-based device or any type of device, the manufacturer comes in and does a training and sends us webinars. That's what our practice or staff get, and then we walk away and kind of leave them to continue to sell. So I think that, making sure that you have an actual training plan. When I'm working with teams, I like people to experience treatments. I like them to at least feel, especially in particular, providers that are delivering the services. But think about it, your front desk or your ambassadors, for them to look, touch, feel. It's really, really important for everyone to feel invested in treatments. Remember that if we love something, if particularly inside the practice, that's going to be our go-to. So you'll notice that, Cindy at the front desk sells a ton of XYZ moisturizer. I bet you that's what Cindy's using at home. You're going to notice that your esthetician loves this one device. That's probably her favorite fun treatment to do. So getting everybody on board and having a solid training plan from beginning to end is so crucial. As well as, again, I've said this before, lean on your reps. I hosted monthly all staff meetings in my practice that had over 63 staff members. And even if they weren't all able to physically join us, they joined remotely. And once a month, we'd have a rep come in to keep product information, keep, clinical information, keep industry information top of mind for our providers. Obviously, protocols are important, having access to online training tools. There isn't a one thing. These are all the things that you need to have in your practice, but you should have a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan for any product, treatment, and service, just like you would have for a staff member. So when we have new staff members to practice, we typically have like a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan. We need to have that for our treatments as well. And that walks through the first 30 days is us learning the product, is making sure that every staff member is comfortable talking about it. Who's a candidate? When can I expect my treatment outcome? What is the downtime? What is the investment? What are the pre-treatment, post-treatment instructions? Every single staff member should be able to talk about it from their side of the practice, not just the providers, not just consultants, front desk, and everyone. And then the next 30 days should be, how are we promoting it? Let's get comfortable really, really talking about it externally, not just internally. And how do we keep it top of mind for all of our staff members? So, having structured continuing education is the key to keeping these products in good use, right? We don't want to buy a device, we get excited about it. I mentioned this earlier, it's the shiny new penny effect. We bring on something new, we get excited about it, it blows up for the first month, 2 months, 3 months, but what happens at month 6 when it's just collecting dust in that laser room in the back, or we've got a ton of the product on the counter, hoping we can sell through it before it expires. So we need to have a plan, and it needs to be strategic. I think I'm not a huge fan of role playing, to be honest, but I love, consulting with each other, treating each other, and actually talking through it in real life scenarios. And I'll just qualify, I don't love role playing, because I think when we force people, that's when, like, when you're trying to be quietest is when you're loudest, right? So it
Mhm.
feels uncomfortable and unnatural, and we're not actually getting the real cadence of who they are anyway. But I think having structure, and it needs to be continued. Don't just take it once. I also think that, again, learn from other providers. If you have the opportunity to go to user conferences, those are important. If you have other providers that are maybe just outside of your competitive market, collaborating with each other, and those type of things. It's a lifelong process within our practice, but it has to be structured.
Thank you, Gary. Absolutely. And I think that I love the idea of, the huddle, the coming together and the training. My wife manages a chain of health food stores, and they they do something that's kind of interesting where where you've got somebody who's doing really well in selling some particular product. They have that person kind of be
Mhm.
the the corporate person
The
that comes in, but the
champion,
idea,
right?
yeah. And so what we, and it's company I work with, obviously, but what we say, we want you to share about um, how you sold the product, how you supported the relationship, and how you celebrated the win.
I love
And
that.
and they just love it, because that's almost role playing without putting you on the spot. Because the quiet golden retriever to the outright lion, they can fit in their place. And then what happens is they do that a couple of times, and it just builds everybody starts coming with better stories. And we
Mhm.
all love to hear a story, all love to tell a story. And they've just seen phenomenal results. You go into that store, have a question about anything, what does this do? And it's very cool. They're known for their relationship marketing because of that investment. But um, thank you, Karen. I think I want to carry on with the conversation about training, though. I think this is an important part, but focus more on device-based services, Anita. So how do you train your team to promote device-based services alongside these complementary products effectively?
So yeah, so once I mean, the med spas that I'm working with, we don't just want them, using the products with the devices. Obviously, we're building that in, but we really are trying to develop an entire culture of wellness and ownership among the team overall. So I love what Kara was saying. We call that being a product of the product. So we want people using the supplementation, using the topicals, and again, showing those results. Choosing systems that allow the team to benefit, from the products, as well as benefit financially is just, kind of the double whammy that kind of seals the training. Um, we also, want to do actual sales training. We focus on scripts that prioritize the patient wellness over sales. We really want to remind our staff that this is very consultative. Just like you're doing a consultation to determine what kind of services, you're also being very consultative with regard to lifestyle. What other health goals are they trying to accomplish? You don't want to be working at odds with maybe some other protocols they're doing. So maybe they have digestive upset issues that they're concerned with, and these questions will arise during the consult, so you can kind of make sure your staff is trained on consultation. I agree with Kara. I come in when I'm working with a med spa or an esthetician, there's monthly training, the corporate level as well. So the company that, created this program and is distributing these supplements, they are also providing annual conferences, annual product symposiums where manufacturers and ingredients are being discussed and we're being educated on the actual science and the studies. And that allows us to leverage those educational tools, things like CME credits. Your staff needs to get those under their belt so you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, which is very efficient, from a business owner's. But again, we're onboarding products with the patient in mind, not just, the spa's financial goals. The patient's results is the first relationship. And then, of course, those two things drive our revenue. So we always want to start with the why. So I think that's how we approach our training. And it just naturally ends up being sold, being selling device services as well, because you can back into it both ways, right? You might have clients who are hesitant to go for devices, but they're having results with some products, but just not taking them what they really want. That can open up the conversation to say, hey, listen, you've been using these topicals, you've been taking the oral collagen. Gosh, I'd love to see some real collagen stimulation because you're getting, your body's responding. What do you think about doing some treatments? Can we have that conversation? If the patient is really desirous and they're, piling on the products and, they got a 14-step skincare routine where finally, you're spending $2,000 a quarter. Like, why don't we just do Morpheus? Like, what are we doing here? So I think that gauging your clients' usage of topicals and oral support can be a bellwether to where you could take the sales process for device services. And I think having those training conversations with your staff is something I highly agree. You have to be training continually. It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, thank you, Nita. And that the ongoing side of it as well. But I think this bigger picture that you said, the wellness, I like that term. I've heard this idea of lifestyle wellness. In my world, in the coach, people talk about success and what they mean by that. And of course, we all have different definitions of language like wellness or success. But success in our world these days is more about money and likes and followers. But this idea of lifestyle wellness, to me, I see this through the lens of it being a wellness physically, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, and financially. I feel really good about how I'm spending my money with you guys. There's that holistic view of it. And I think you just painted that picture beautifully, that it's there and it's all driven by a relationship, unless you want to just compete on price. Yeah, and I just love to put that. Thank you, Nita.
Yeah. Thank
Question
you.
for you, Kara, is with your experience, we're talking overseeing operations across 50 plus practices. That would have been fun. What key factors do you advise med spas to consider before investing in a new aesthetic device? So this right down to more of the scalable nature, I guess, of acquisition.
Yeah. So again, I did touch on the very first thing before is, does it fill a gap? Does it fill a service? Do you have a
Yeah.
need for it? Right. And then secondarily, like, again, can it be scaled within even your location? Forget, 60 locations, but what is the longevity of this device? What is the longevity of a product or a service? I think that that's really, really important. And it comes down to, do you have the bandwidth to support it? Do you have the bandwidth to grow it as a service? If it, again, is it filling a gap? Is it replacing something? Is it in conjunction to something? My rule of thumb, not when I was on the side of selling devices, it was very different then, but when I was on the side of acquiring devices, I started off with a policy that if we couldn't pay cash for it, we didn't need it. But that's not realistic. Devices used to be 10, $15,000 on the expensive side. Now they're $200,000. And while you probably could, some clinics put $200,000 on an Amex. Why would you do that and staunch your cash flow, right? So I would say, do we have our plan? So if you can pay that device off and their ROI does give you the opportunity to leverage that device within a calendar year, within a 12-month period, so that you start seeing that return, it is unrealistic to expect that, especially a heavier device, meaning heavier cost, is going to be paid off within a 3, 6, 9-month time frame, like our device manufacturers always try and promise us are going to happen. That's not real reality, but you have to have a plan to support it. So if that device cost and my lease payment is $2,500 and my consumable cost is $100 per treatment, and I know that I need to do at least 20 treatments a month to, 2x, 5x, whatever it is, the cost that I'm looking for, then I have to have a contingency plan to get there. So again, I'm all about reverse engineering data and analytics. How can I put together a plan to make sure that this is going to be successful in my practice, even before I bring it in? Because your success factor means nothing if you can't sell, like if you can't, or the device outcome means nothing if you don't have a high success factor. So it could be the greatest device on the market, but what is your previous experience launching treatments and products and services? And again, what is that continuing education? I think that there needs to be needs to be a lot of real self-realization in our practices when we decide to bring expensive devices on, because I think that, in this industry, we are often at the mercy of the manufacturers. And again, we're kind of grabbing anything that people are walking in and telling us that we need. And we don't always have a strategy and a plan. So I think the biggest thing is recognizing what your success factor is, setting your practice up for success, setting your patients or your staff up for success, but realistically identifying where does this fit within my practice has got to be at the central, decision making is when we bring this on, because I think that that's the biggest key.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Kara. The so it's not about the size, it's not about the size or scalability. It's about being intentional with the process and protecting the integrity of the vision and the values that underpin it that support where you want to take this thing. As you said earlier, where do we want to be in 20 years and reverse engineer that today? But we have to constantly revisit that because there's constantly new things happening in the industry. So we have to, suddenly a new machine comes along. The temptation is just to buy the machine and adjust the vision, but it really should be the other way
Right.
around and do that. And that's what I'm hearing you say. So I've got I want to do something a little different here because you guys are so easy to talk to and flowing with, and I think our participants from the comments that are coming, they're really connecting with you. So I always love, I'm passionate about when we've done something, been through a process of learning things and hearing things, experiencing things, is to really challenge myself. What's been most valuable in the time we spent together? So I'm going to throw that out to our participants. You throw that into the chat. But what's been most valuable for you in this chat, this conversation we've had tonight? What you've heard, just not an essay or just just something bite-sized. What's been valuable for you, whether it be about a system, a concept or an idea, or just something personally and how you're seeing yourself in the practice. I'll leave that wide open, but I'm going to have you guys lead it off. So I'm going to actually go to you first, Anita. There's a first comment from Tamara saying, be strategic. There's the word. Anita, what's been most valuable for you in this journey tonight?
Just in preparing for it was really just I've obviously thought about these things for a long time, but just going through the list of devices and stuff, I'm really struck, and I cannot reiterate enough what Kara's been saying about the strategic nature of selecting what you're going to offer in your practice. If even if you have say you do have 2 locations, 3 locations, the population, you do need to know who lives, who's in that location. You might need a different device or protocols in one location that you wouldn't need in another, and you could even be in the same town. So for me, just the reiteration of the strategic nature of really thinking about where the gaps are, what your client base needs are, really jumps out because it applies across the board, whether you're talking about devices, orals, topicals. There are literally hundreds of supplement companies out there, but very few of them have comprehensive systems and all
Yeah,
the things that I was looking for when I was choosing. So things that, again, prioritizing the patient outcome, the patient relationship, and just as much as the profitability. It's not really just about the bottle on the shelf, right? So it's about the education, how it fits into the workflows. Is the rep coming in and being conscious of your current workflows in your office, right? So all of
that's
those
great.
things are great to think about, and I'm so happy to be able to talk about them.
Thank you, Anita. I think, and thank you, Tamara, for your comment. I'd love to hear some more from our viewers. Uh, to me, when you talk about being strategic, strategy is about what I would define as intentional action that is led by a vision. And I
Yes.
think that's really the essence of it. And you have to have both parts. You have to have the intentionality, you have to have done the due diligence on what the action elements could be. And then you need a vision that you can put this on a North Star that you're heading towards, that you don't go wandering off and buying every piece of equipment and wondering where your money went. So
And
really get
know the
into it.
numbers.
Yeah.
Know the
Kara,
numbers.
as we just, what's been most valuable for you in this time together?
I think just keeping in mind that there's never one solution for everything, meaning there's not just a quick fix, there's not a one device, there's not a one product. In this interview, you can't just do a treatment without having proper pre or post care. There's not a one for everything. I get clients that come to me all the time and say, like, I need more revenue. What are we going to do? What's that one thing? And in any part of your business and any part of your treatment plans and any part of your strategy, there's not one thing. It's about the elements that make everything whole. And we don't always look cohesively at the entire map or the entire plan before we decide to take off in one direction. So it's not enough to be strategic. It's not enough to be intentional, right? We have to be those things, but also keeping in mind there is a combination of solutions that we should be bringing to our patients in our treatment plans. There's a combination of solutions that we need to really bring back to our practices and our business practices. And really, as the industry continues to evolve and grow, we need to really open ourselves up to not being so tunnel visioned in our practices.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kara.
I
And if I was
agree.
going to pull the words together, I was thinking it's about being strategic, to your point, Anita, to Tamara, Kara, it's about being dynamic. And from my perspective, it's about being curious. And being
Yeah.
curious and is an entrepreneur that's not curious is going to find they're going to be on the short end of a stick very quickly. So having said that, we are kind of just giving me a chance out here. I need to share my screen. And this has been, I knew you guys would just be loaded for bear, as the saying goes. I'm not sure it's appropriate to use those terms anymore. But anyway, our time is coming together, coming to a close together, and you guys have been awesome. And as you recall, I did say at the beginning, for those of you, and I so appreciate all of you staying on through the webinar, but I promised you a very interesting gift, and here it is. You see on the screen in front of you, it's a gift from the founder of the Business of Aesthetics Expert Panel webinar. His name is Narain Arora, and Narain is the CEO of Echo Marketing, that is a digital marketing organization for doctors and medical professionals and professionals, pardon me, and specifically aesthetic practices. As a token of our appreciation of your time and your participation, Narain is offering you a free marketing strategy meeting with Lila Stone, who is the Business of Aesthetics and Marketing Director of Equa Marketing. Lila has, as you can see, has established herself as a trusted expert in digital marketing and is passionate about empowering medical professionals with the marketing tools and knowledge to stand out in a competitive market. She covers all aspects of the industry. And as I said, this gift is from Narain. And I think, with gifts like this, everything we've been talking about, when you're being strategic and being dynamic and being curious, this just is a beautiful opportunity where essentially Lila is going to spend 6-7 hours doing research on your digital platform, your website, all your in and out entry points, all the different things. I don't know if you know, but Google changes their logarithm like 6,000 times a year. So the need to be dynamic, to be moving this stuff around is so critical. But once she's put this together, she's going to come back to you and give you a report. For that 1 hour she's going to spend with you, and she's going to give you a report that kind of shows you what's going on and some options. But there's no strings attached. There's not a fine print that you're suddenly going to have to buy the never a set of never dull steak knives. It's not anything like that. It's just simply Narain knowing that this is important. If he didn't believe in this whole platform, we wouldn't be doing this. And I just really encourage you. And you heard me say the 2 questions I use to test stuff like this for myself. The first question, what's at risk do I reach out and book a session? Well, just your time. Your time is important, and we value it. But the second question is, what's at risk if I don't? And that's really, if you're an expert in marketing and digital stuff, then you probably don't need this. If you aren't, this is just a beautiful gift of opportunity for you to just grow something that's probably not in your wheelhouse. So I'll leave that with you. You can scan the code on the screen with your phone if you're not using the phone for the webinar. You could also go into the chat, and Whitney has already put in the link for to go to the address businessofesthetics.org/MSM/X panels/. That's where you'll be able to book your session. So I really encourage you to do that, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed. But that takes me to the thank you slide. So first of all, thank you to our expert panel, to Kara and to Anita. So much insight, best practices, and oh my goodness, such great actionable content. I kind of like to sum it up that collectively you've made the complex simple, the hidden visible, and the difficult easy. Secondly, thank you to all our attendees for the privilege of your time and your participation. Thank you for the comments that were being shared there tonight. Without you, we don't grow together, and we don't set each other up for success. A reminder to like, share, and review us on your favorite social media. We love likes and reviews, and be a part of somebody else's success. So having said all that, and thank you again, Karen, Anita, what a great evening. We so appreciate you taking the time. So until next time, on behalf of Kara and Anita, keep striving for excellence and exceptional patient care. Mike Walker, till next time.